In this last video, as part of the second normalization form, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this table over here, and we're going to have a look and see whether it is in second normalized form already. So just as a reminder, hopefully you're getting the hang of this by now, but for it to be in second normalized form, if something relates to the primary key, it has to be related to every single part of the primary key. So in this table over here, all these ones over here that are related need to not just be related to date, or not just related to artist, or not just related to venue, but they need to be reliant on the three combined. So what we've got over here is we've got some questions just to ask ourselves as we go through to help us detect whether they are both dependent, or what should I say, each attribute is dependent on the concatenated primary key, or the combined primary key. So let's take a look. Is attendance dependent on both venue and artist? So is our attendance attribute dependent on both venue and artist, and date, I should say, and date? Is it? Let's think about it. So if you have a concert, your attendance will change depending on the venue that you're at. It will depend on the artist that's playing, and it will change depending on the date there. So theoretically, we could have another concert at the same Wembley venue, and the artist Girls Aloud, but it could be on a different date, and so this would be a unique value for all three. So this attendance does definitely change, and it does relate to all three. So I'm going to put a yes there. Is profit dependent on both venue and artist and date? Is it? Let's think about that. Yeah, it sure is. Didn't have to think very long. So our profit over here is going to change depending on the venue that you're playing at, the artist who's playing, and the date of that concert there. So yeah, it's reliant on all those three things. Is the city dependent on both the venue and the artist? I'm going to get you to pause the video, and I'm going to get you to think about that one there. Okay, so sure, the city is dependent on the venue, so the city is inextricably linked to this venue over here, but it doesn't really have anything to do with this artist, does it, right? So if you think about it, the city not really tied in to the artist or the date there. So no. Is the number one hits dependent on both the venue and the artist? Well, I know that an artist can have lots of number one hits, so Girls Aloud, they might be really popular, and they might have 5 number one hits, amazing. But at the same time, I know that a venue can't really have number one hits, if that makes sense. So no, these are two completely different things, and they should not be related. And they're not. Is style dependent on both venue and artist and date? Sorry, this should all say and date. I'm being a bit sloppy. Right, let's have a look. Is it? Is the style of the band dependent on the artist? Yeah. So Girls Aloud, they might have a great style as a girl band, or Leona Lewis might be a fantastic female soloist, and Girls Aloud might again have the fantastic style of girl band, but at the same time, this venue doesn't really have anything to do with this style. So a venue can't have a style of a girl band, or it can't really be this in the style of a female soloist, if that makes sense. So it is not. No. Nope. So what we need to do then is we need to think about creating some new tables and moving our existing data out of this one table and breaking it up, right, into new relations. The way I'm going to do that first is I'm going to do that in shorthand, and then we're going to see if we can move it into Excel so you get a little bit of that graphical representation. Remember, I do not require you in the exam to write out the Excel values, or write out each field in each table. What I expect you to do is just the shorthand, which I'm showing you now. So the first table that I'm going to create is the concert table. So we're going to have the concert table. Now, the venue, the artist, and the date are all related. they are our combination primary keys, or our concatenated primary keys, as you can see up here, 1, 2, and 3. We also have the fields of attendance and profit, because we know that those are also linked into this concept. Remember, these two things, the attendance and these profit, are inextricably linked to the concatenated primary key. They are related to each one of these primary keys here. Everything else, not really. Okay, so let's look at the next one then. So we've already talked about style, and we said that that definitely needs to be taken out because the style is not related to the venue at all. So we are going to create a new style table. And I'm going to give this a style ID, a primary key that I've just made up. ID is just a great, fantastic, easy primary key to make up, and a style. Style is its attribute. And I can't seem to underline that. There we go. Fantastic. So, just to reiterate, I've created a new attribute in this table with a unique ID, a new primary key called style ID, and this is so we can relate the style to it. I'm just going to make this all caps. There we go. The artist. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my new artist table. I'm going to get my artist ID. Let's just call it the artist. Actually, no, you know what? Considering we call it style ID, I might do the same thing. So artist ID, we're just going to give a unique identifier to our artist. It gives us a nice primary key to work with there. And relating to that primary key, we're going to link the artist. And we're going to link their hits. Number of hits. Number 1 hits. And we're also going to link in the style ID. Just as a bit of a reminder, we need this because the style relates directly to the artist. Remember, we can kind of think of this as a little bit of like a foreign key if you're into that kind of thing yet. The last thing I'm going to do is create one for the venue. So venue and venue ID, a new primary key I've just made up to uniquely identify each venue, should I say? Apologies. And to that, I'm going to link the venue, and I'm going to link the city there as well. So the city is inextricably linked to the venue, and this venue is linked to the venue as well, obviously the venue ID. Cool. So that's how we would set this out in an exam situation, and how would this look in real life, I guess, or in a table format. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to do the first one because otherwise it'll just take me ages and you guys probably don't want to watch me muck around in Excel too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the concept one over here. And I'm going to create, so it had a primary key of venue. Actually, I might just do this on a new sheet. So this is the data that I'm using. I'm just going to move over and just use it on a new sheet. So we've got our concept table. I'm going to call this concept. And what we need is we need a venue primary key. We need an artist primary key, and we need a date primary key. So I'm going to bold those, and I'm going to underline them just so I know where I'm up to, I guess. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go attendance, which is another attribute, and that does not need to be a primary key or underlined. Oh no, I'll underline it. I'll make it bold. And profit as well. Cool, so we've got our concatenated primary key over here, and we've got our attribute attendance, which depends on all three, and our profit, which depends on all three as well. So let's just make up let's use these venues. So we've got Wembley, we've got the artist Girls Aloud, and we've got the date, which is the 1st of the 10th, 09. The attendance is 53,000. And the profit, which is 12334. Cool. The next row would be NEC. The artist would be Leona Lewis. It would be the 1st of the 10th, 09. And it would be 45,000. With a profit of 66,433. Last one, NEC. Girls Aloud. 7/11/09. 7/11/09. 590 and 53789. Cool. So that's our first table done. The next thing you do is you would obviously create your style table. So your style. And for that you would need the two fields, style ID, and we need that primary key in there, right? Yeah. And the style. What style would you use? Let's go to the first one. So style is either girl band, female soloist, or girl band or female soloist. So I'm not going to complete this, but the idea would be to create a primary key of 001 maybe. That would link it, and the style would be girl band, and the next one would be 2, and that would be soloist. So over here we have the attribute, as a reminder, which is directly related to this new field that we've just made up called the style ID primary key. Remember, it's really important that each table has a primary key to link to, and that's why we've made this up. You couldn't really have a table with just one attribute and kind of try and link it to itself. At least 2 is a good idea. So this way we have our style being directly linked to this new this attribute over here. Cool. I would encourage you to just kind of think, or if you can do it on a bit of paper, to try and do our next tables, which, as just a reminder, were artist and venue as well. So just a reminder, we would need this artist ID that we've just made up to link the artist, the number 1 hits, and the style ID foreign key to, and then also the venue with the venue ID and as the primary key, and the venue and the city there. So don't be too confused by these primary keys that we've created. Just remember that in each table you need to have a primary key to uniquely identify everything, and creating a new field or an attribute with an ID tag is really a great way of uniquely identifying each row. So for instance, instead of having the artist ID of Girls Aloud or Leona Lewis, it's just quite nice to link it to a nice primary key of 001 or 002 for example. And that's why we've made up new primary keys: style ID, artist ID, and venue ID. I hope that makes sense. I hope that doesn't confuse you too much. Any problems or any issues, let me know. But for now, we're pretty much done with that one. So cool. Thanks, guys.